Hey folks, it's Chris again, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through how to get RITA installed. Specifically, this is going to be the newest version of RITA, RITA 5. The install is a little bit different versus older versions. And what gets deployed is going to be a little different. We'll talk about that as well. So where we want to start is on the RITA GitHub page. So you want to go to github.com/activecm/RITA. That'll drop you on this page here. And if we scroll down below the code, we'll get to the quick start section. This is where we're going to be working with today. So let's start off talking a little bit about system requirements first. RITA really doesn't have high system requirements to it. In fact, for the purposes of doing this video and the little tests we'll be doing, I'm probably going to stick with like 2 cores, maybe 3 or 4 gigs of RAM, 30 gigs of storage. So if you just want to set it up and see what it looks like, it doesn't take much to get this up and going. But, casual user, if you're going to be running this on, let's say, your home network or production use, you want to use this within your office, requirements go up a little bit from there. So that's our system requirements. So we have a couple of different options on how to install this. So we want to go to the RITA installer page. So I'm going to right click that and then go over to that tab. And now this is going to walk me through. I got a couple of different options. I can pull down the source code, work with that if I want to. Or you could do the tarball, expand it out, do the install from there. But this is the easy way to do it, which is just to simply pull down this install RITA Zeek here script. What that's going to do is that's just going to automatically install both RITA and Zeek on the same system. So I'm going to go through. I'm going to say I want to copy that link address. And then I'm going to pull up the system that we're working with. And now I'm just going to go through and I'm going to say wget. I'm going to paste in that URL from GitHub, as you see here, and then I'll just go ahead and run that. Ran through pretty quick. If I take a look at what got downloaded, here's my install script right here. Now notice it's not executable, so I got to make it executable in order to be able to run it. So I'm going to run the command chmod, and I'm going to say add in the executable bit to this file name. Once I do that, if I take a look, hey look, now we've got the pretty little X's. So, it's not porn. That means we can actually go in and execute this file now. So now I'm going to say /IN and then hit my tab key for autocomplete. So I'm going to tell it I want to run this local file right here, even though it's not in my path. And then the next thing it's going to ask me for is my sudo password. So in order to install RITA, I have to be able to execute root level permissions on things. So I'm going to type my password in here. And then once I do, this is off to the races. So it pauses to just let me know, yeah, okay, you may need to enter in your password again. That's perfectly fine. So now I'm just going to tell it to go off and go. Now, one of the big changes we've made in RITA is that before, both RITA and Zeek would get installed onto the host system, whatever system it is you're running it on. One of the big changes we've made is we're installing it using Docker now. So it's running within Docker instances. So this is why RITA is supported on a bunch of platforms that we struggled with in the past, is because it's all running within Docker. So long as you can execute things within those Docker instances, you're in pretty good shape. The other big change we made is we used to use Mongo for a backend database, so we've switched that out to ClickHouse. And that's just made huge improvements in speed. That's also kind of helped with the reliability between different platforms as well. So those are some of the changes we've made that you'll notice as you go through the install process. Now, this is just going out and this is getting all the packages we need. So I'm just going to go through and let this finish up. So this is asking for the become password. I know that sounds a little obscure. What it's actually asking for is my sudo password. So I'm logged in as C. Brenton. What is my password in order to be able to execute things with sudo level permissions? That's what this is actually asking for here. So this will go through. This will first go through and install RITA. It'll then go through and install Zeek. Since they're running in Docker instances, we're also going to create some scripts on the local system, one called RITA, one called Zeek, in order to be able to interact with those Docker instances directly. So you won't actually have to connect into the Docker instance to do anything. You'll be able to run a script on the local system, and it'll take care of reaching into the Docker instance for you. So we'll give this a little bit more to finish up. Now, once we get here, this is asking me what interface do I want Zeek to be able to listen in on. There's two different ways you can use RITA. You can use it to process PCAPs, or you can use it to listen directly on the wire. If we're going to have it listen directly on the wire, we have to tell it what interface to use for that. The interface I want to use in this case here is ENS18. That's the one with the .69.165 IP address to it. I'm going to use my arrow key to change the little greater than sign to point at that line. And then I'll hit the space bar, which is going to put an X in that box. And then I'll hit enter, and it'll continue to run with the script from there. When you're running the install, we're going in and we're setting up each of these containers. It's not uncommon for it to take a minute or two with each of these steps. So don't worry about it being hung. That's actually perfectly normal. And as you can see, we're all the way to the end. And now both RITA and Zeek have been installed on this system. So if I say sudo docker images, here are all the images that were installed as part of RITA. So here's my RITA image, here's my login capability, here's my backend database, and I've also got my version of Zeek to be able to go through and process log files for that. If I say sudo docker ps, the logging and the ClickHouse is always running in the background. Zeek won't be running in the background unless I specifically start it. I have another video on doing that. RITA will not be running in the background unless I specifically execute on that, and we'll see that in some other videos. So that's it. At this point, I'm up and running. Now it's just a matter of, do I want to process PCAPs, or do I want to be able to listen live on the wire? I've got videos on each of those you can download and check out as well. Catch you soon.